Hello and welcome to this week's News Desk. This is Season 4, Episode 37. We're recording on Monday, September 26. It's actually 2 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time. Nancy Gillen is over in London, so it's 7 o'clock your time. You have dinner waiting for you, right? You are being cooked for you. You poor thing. It's tough having to get out of your apartment and go home for a few days, isn't it?
Yeah, so I've been my current house share is having electrical works done, so been back at the parents' house. So there are definitely some perks to that.
All right, well, we don't want to keep Mum waiting, so shout out to Mum. Tell me again your mum's name.
Angela.
Okay. Shout out to Angela Gillen for cooking her daughter's dinner. And we won't keep you waiting. Hopefully, we're going to crack on with this week's news. We have a whole variety of news this week. We always have football, of course, year round. It's guaranteed we'll have football. But we've got a few other things as well. We're going to actually start with cycling, which makes a change, Nancy, to actually have some good cycling news. And that begins with none other than the record-breaking Annemiek van Vleuten from the Netherlands, who won the World Championship, the World Road Championships in Wollongong, Australia. I think that's New South Wales. And that, she said, was probably her best victory. So that's saying something, because she had a bit of an injury. She's cycling with an injury as well. So she probably felt good to overcome that and still win the damn championships. I mean, how about that for performance?
Yeah, I think it was a fractured elbow, wasn't it? Which I know you're not really, you're mainly using your legs in cycling, but you still got to hold on to, your handlebars. So to do that with a fractured elbow is absolutely incredible. And having won the Tour de France over the summer as well, she's in really good form at the moment.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's just one record after the other with Annemiek. She's an extraordinary talented cyclist. But as you say, she's got to hang on to the handlebars, and there's a lot of shock comes through your arms and through your elbows as well, and that probably I don't know, did she take a fall, because she did that 3 days before the world race title was run, and that was her second title, by the way, in the World Road Championships, and she's now 39 years old. So it just shows. Well, I'm a little bit older than that, and I can still keep saying that's a sport you can do till late in life, Nancy. I'm going to persuade you to take up cycling, to save your joints. You've got a dodgy knee anyway. You should get on a bike sometime.
Yeah, that's true.
But there's a warning too. If you're going to get into professional cycling, Nancy, you've got to make damn sure that you wear regulation gear, because you've got a story that broke just this morning, didn't it, about Annemiek van Vleuten. Tell us about that.
Yeah, really interesting, a bit bizarre story. So Van Vleuten actually got fined twice during the World Championship race. The first because she started the race with an aerodynamic race suit that deviated from her teammates' suits, so apparently wasn't the same colour and texture. So then she later put on a loose-fitting short-sleeve jersey on top of the suit that she was wearing, and she was fined 500 Swiss francs for that. And then she was also fined for wearing socks that were too high up her leg, apparently. So UCI imposed the sock limit rules a few years ago, and the sock and overshoe apparently cannot extend beyond the middle of the lower leg, roughly halfway between the knee and the ankle. So Van Vleuten's socks were higher up her leg than the UCI limitation, which many believe that longer socks provide an aerodynamic advantage, which is why those rules are in place. Van Vleuten was fined 200 Swiss francs. In total, despite the fact she won the world title, it did cost her 700 Swiss francs. But I think she would have much rather taken the fine than being disqualified or excluded for those uniform violations. But yeah, quite an interesting one there. I'm not 100% sure whether it was on purpose to get a bit of an edge, or it just genuinely a bit of a mistake. She kind of wasn't aware of the aerodynamic advantages that socks can provide, apparently.
Well, this is new to me. I hadn't realised that was the regulation, was halfway up the leg. And really, if you look at them, there's a photo on the website where we got this story, and it'll be in the show notes on our website at wisports.com, so you can check it out yourself, because the image that we're looking at, Nancy, those socks are only just above halfway. You could pull your sock down a little bit. I mean, contrary to pulling your socks up, you can pull your socks down, right, to get to regulation. But it's hard to believe that those few inches, 2 inches maybe? I don't know. It's hard to tell, but it doesn't look that high up. That could have an aerodynamic advantage. Anyway.
Yeah, it really seems like very fine margins, but I guess sport does come down to fine margins. So yeah, there must be a reason for the rule.
Yeah, true. It certainly does. But congratulations to her. I mean, that's her second title, and as you say, she won the Tour de France for women earlier this year. She's having a really, really good season all round. So yeah. Check out that story. It's on velonews.com, but as I said, there'll be a link in the show notes to that too. So, it does make a change for us to start with cycling. And, we shouldn't, when you look at social media, Nancy, and you talk about a sport that has so many disciplines within it. I mean, we know equestrian does, there are a number, swimming, and of course there's a lot of sports that do. But cycling does just as much, doesn't it? There's so many different disciplines.
Yeah, and I think, really increasing, I think, road in particular, with all these big these traditional cycling races, they've now kind of got these big women's events as well, so it's definitely, I think, gaining more and more followers as well, and in other disciplines as well. So yeah, it's very exciting. Yeah,
lots to choose from if you want to get on a bike. Well, we're going to move to four wheels now, because one of our regulars on the show, Jamie Chadwick, is making news again. Tell us about what she's been up to. She's only 24 years of age, by the way. We shouldn't forget that, because she really is still very early on in her career. But look how much she's achieved so far, Nancy, and look at the ambition that she has already.
Yeah, so she is a two-time W Series champion, competing in this year's series as well, and is well expected to win her third title. In fact, she could win her third title this weekend, coming up in Singapore. So yeah, I think kind of she's clearly head and shoulders above all other women in motorsport, and she's long been touted as the woman that's going to make that step into F1. Not the first woman, because there has been women in F1, but a very long time ago. So the last female in F1 was Lella Lombardi in 1976. We're talking quite a long time ago. But Chadwick's been responding to comments made from F1 boss Stefano Domenicali, which we have spoken about previously on this show, where he said that he doesn't realistically see a female on the F1 grid in the next 5 years. And he kind of went further than that and said there'd have to be a meteorite to hit Earth or something like that for a woman to be on the F1 grid in the next 5 years. So a bit disparaging. It didn't really have to be that kind of insulting, really. But Chadwick has responded to that and said that she hopes to make the step up to Formula One within 5 years. She said her ambition does go against what he says. She said, if it's not me, I'm confident another young girl has the opportunity to. You want them to start and be inspired and know that they have that opportunity. And that she said that she will try and go through the correct feeder series and have success to be in F1 within 5 years. So, yeah, if anyone is going to prove Stefano Domenicali wrong, it's going to be Jamie Chadwick, because as we've established, she is a very, very, very talented motorsport driver. So yeah, I'm hoping that she does prove them wrong, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. My goodness, yes. And it looks like she's about to take that W Series championship again. But I did read in that same article, Nancy, that she's not expected to stay in the W Series next season. She's tested at Indy Lights, the feeder series to IndyCar over here in the States. And she didn't join other W Series women in a Formula 3 test. So looks like she's making her own pathway.
Yeah, I think as well. I think people expected her to from W Series, go into Formula 3 or Formula 2. And it says here that she believes she's quite far away from that, which is why maybe she sees the next step up as Indy Lights and IndyCar. I'm not going to lie, I don't know too much about the difference because I'm not a massive motorsport expert, but it sounds like she has kind of in her head mapped out the way she sees getting to F1, the pathway that she sees as most realistic. So, yeah, it sounds like she's got a plan and hopefully, even though the W Series is great, I think you don't really want to see Chadwick competing in the W Series next year because she is clearly, I suppose, too good for the competition. I think to win every year and have no progression, it's kind of, what's the point of it? You want her to be able to progress into higher competitions and kind of start leading the way for other women. And it also be better for other women if they can actually have a shot at winning the title and improving themselves as well. So, yeah, as great as a competitor she is, and to watch, it kind of feels a bit like paradoxical, I suppose, to say I don't want her to be in W Series next season, but hopefully she's kind of, gone the next step up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what she's saying. Indy Lights will put her in a good position for the F3 step up. So, yeah, we will watch her, of course, as we have been doing throughout her career. And there's a very good point you made, Nancy, but it does open the door for the others because she's dominated that series throughout its lifespan, which is, 3 years. So, yeah, good luck to her. And we'll keep you posted on what happens next with Jamie Chadwick. We're going to move on to rugby now, Nancy. And rugby's been in the news for various reasons recently, but now we're on the eve of that World Cup, which is taking place in New Zealand. England, as we talked about on the show last week, are one of the not the favourite. They're a very powerful squad that's heading down under, but the RFU had to defend their decision to fly the women down there in economy because the men usually fly business class. How have they justified that, Nancy?
I think, to be fair, I'm kind of quite shocked that they have even tried to justify it, to be honest, because it's such an obvious double standard, isn't it? You've got the men flying in business and the women in economy. That just shows that you're not valuing your teams as much. They claim that they have to basically pick areas to invest in because the women's team is running at a loss. So they've chosen to invest in additional physios, rehab therapists, performance coaches, nutritionists, and a full-time psychologist. And a performance perspective, the team management has chosen to invest in those areas, as well as having 2 weeks in the country before the first game rather than flying in business. So they've kind of said that, this is the only money we've got and we're not going to, give the women business flights. I think there was also a bit of confusion because British Airways is the RFU's official travel partner. So in that sense, you would have expected British Airways to be paying for the flights as they did for the men's team, but British Airways doesn't actually fly directly to New Zealand. So the Red Roses are flying with an alternative airline, which again is probably a reason why they're going in economy. But I understand their argument about the investment and, the fact that they're loss-making, it's a loss-making team, but I feel like they could probably have stretched to pay for the flights. And also it's the whole idea that you've got to have that investment in and it will grow. Especially, when you've got England who are on an incredible match-winning streak, are favourites to go out and win the World Cup. And it's not a big issue of flying in economy, but sometimes, if you're an athlete and you're going to play in a tournament and you've kind of spent a large amount of time on a plane with your legs cramped up and stuff, it's not the best. So yeah, I just am I am a bit disappointed by it, to be honest. I think it is just such an obvious kind of show of disparity between the men's side and the women's side. And I think the RFU should have foreseen that and just decided to kind of, take one for the team and let them fly in business, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll keep you posted on that. It starts at the beginning of October, so that World Cup down in New Zealand. So just a few days away before they kick off, and we'll see how far England get as favourites. And it'll be interesting to see how the Kiwis have improved since their COVID lockdown, Nancy, where they, were denied so much competition, and that really harmed their reputation as one of the leading, if not the leading nation at that time in rugby, both men's and women's. But yeah, it will be very interesting to see how that plays out. That all starts here shortly. So stay tuned with more of that as it unfolds down in Australia, in New Zealand. Whilst we're down under, we've got news in cricket now of the 2023 Women's Ashes, and the English skipper's Heather Knight, she's really happy about that because she's been banging on for a long time apparently about getting 5 days, a test match, and they're going to be playing at all of the top grounds in the country, in England, next summer. Trent Bridge, Edgbaston, the Oval, Lords, Bristol Cricket Ground, the Aegis Bowl and the County Ground at Taunton, some of the best pitches in the country. So that's going to be super exciting, Nancy. I can imagine now you're converted to cricket, you'll be going along to some of the Women's Ashes in 2023.
Well, I have applied in the ballot, actually. I've entered the ballot for the T20 at Oval. So hopefully I get lucky in that. But I'm sure anyway we'll be covering it. I'll be covering it from a journalist perspective as well. So sure, I'll go to a few of those. But yeah, it's great to see it at so many, all the iconic cricket grounds across England. I think the variation of matches as well. I don't know. What's it? Formats. That's it. Formats is the word I wanted. I think that.
T20s you mentioned. So there's 3 of those, and there's 3 one-day internationals, and then there's 1 test match. That's the 5-day game that Heather Knight was referring to. So you've got a whole, cross-section of all the different formats in the game, the white ball and the red ball.
Yeah, and I think it's just a bit of something for everyone. So I think definitely T20 is easier for a novice to understand and get into. So that's kind of quite an accessible way in. And then, people might want to go to the one-day internationals and the test matches as well. So it's good that there's that variation. Hopefully it'll be a really good event. I know obviously Australia are great and England didn't do too well in the Ashes last year, but hopefully with that year break now they can, well not break, but as in a year to go, they can use that time to try and make that a really competitive Ashes.
Most definitely. I'm very jealous over here, as you know, when it comes to cricket. I'm missing out. Yeah, I suffer from FOMO constantly when it comes to cricket. We're going to stay with cricket for a story that broke just recently, just last week, or I think, it's last week. I think I first heard about this. And when Heather Knight, the England captain who I just mentioned, she accused Indian bowler Deepti Sharma of lying over warnings claim. What's that about?
Yeah, so but today I only kind of really came across this today, but it was over the weekend that this kind of all started coming out, or the kind of controversy started. And again, as someone that isn't the biggest cricket expert, it did take a while to get my head round because it seemed a little bit complicated. But essentially England and India played in a one-day game as part of a wider series, but they played the game on Saturday. And as I think India were winning, but England were coming back into it. But the Indian bowler, Deepti Sharma, she made a Mankad move, a Mankad dismissal. So essentially, as the non-batter, Charlie Dean was, she left the crease as Deepti Sharma was bowling. But before the ball left Sharma's hand, she pulled it back and took the bails off, essentially running Charlie Dean out, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So this Mankad dismissal is obviously quite controversial because it's Yes. I think it seemed to not be in the spirit of cricket. It is legitimate in terms of the rules. You can do it, but it seems to not be in the spirit of cricket. And then I think since Deepti Sharma has said that they warned Charlie Dean multiple times about leaving the crease, which I think makes it more, if that had been the instance, it would have made it more understandable what they did. But Heather Knight, the England captain, who was injured during the game but was still at Lord's watching it in the stands, she said that Deepti Sharma was lying about warning Charlie Dean about leaving the crease. So the tweet, she said, the game is over. Charlie was dismissed legitimately. India were deserved winners of the match and series, but no warnings were given. They don't need to be given, so it hasn't made the dismissal any less legitimate. But if they're comfortable with the decision to affect the run out, India shouldn't feel the need to justify it by lying about the warnings. So she's essentially saying that India should just admit that they weren't they weren't really playing in the spirit of the game. They weren't that sportsmanlike. It was still legitimate, but it's kind of like they're making excuses for the fact that it wasn't really in the spirit of the game. This has kind of rumbled on for quite a bit, and there's been quite a bit of controversy about it. So this did happen on Saturday, and then Heather Knight's commented on it today. So it's quite a few days after the initial event. So just a bit of controversy there, really. And it's one of those things where it is kind of in the rules of the game, but it's probably frowned on a little bit. And as well, I think it's important to say that obviously her getting Charlie Dean out then gave Indy the win. So I think people felt it was a bit of a shame that the game at Lord's ended in that way, very kind of anticlimactical, controversial way. Just a bit of controversy there.
Yeah, well, the expression, that's just not cricket. It is about being any unsportsmanlike behaviour. We in the Commonwealth that know the sport, we use that expression. Well, that's just not cricket, and we can use that in any sport. Actually, that expression, but this clearly was just not cricket. It was unsportsmanlike. That made the news today on SkySports.com. So you can check that out as well, too, if you're interested in cricket. But I must say, cricket is growing rapidly, isn't it, Nancy? We're going to talk about the crowds in football now. As we mentioned last week, there was records broken over here, and there's records broken in England now. But also with cricket, this season has just been a bumpy year for the crowds at the cricket grounds in England, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been... I think it's been quite an interesting year, really. And I think, obviously, hopefully with the big matches at the big stadiums next year, it can be, just something to look forward to, I guess.
All right, well, we're going to turn to football now. Because we've always got football news. Even though the NWSL series is wrapping up over here, we're getting to the playoff stages. The WSL is well underway in England. But before we get to the standings this week and how those weekend games went, Nancy, let's talk about what's happening down in Spain, because that has made headlines over the last few days. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is a really interesting story, and like you said, it has been making a lot of headlines. It's slightly complex as well, because there's two sides to the story, and the players have disputed what the Spanish Football Federation have said. But from what we know so far is that what happened first was the Spanish Football Federation released a statement saying that there were 15 players from the women's team had said that they would resign from the team unless Jorge, or probably Jorge, Vilda was sacked, as his tenure was affecting their emotional state and health. And the Spanish Football Federation in this statement were not very conciliatory. I thought it was actually an incredible statement from them, really. They kind of refused to give any kind of understanding or compassion or anything like that, and basically said that the players who were staging this boycott risk being banned for 2 to 5 years I think they said that the only way they'd be called up again to the squad in the future is if they accept their mistake and ask for forgiveness. So, yeah, I was just taken aback, I think, by the tone of that statement. But then the next day, the players in question, a few of them released a statement of their own saying that they hadn't asked for Vilde to be sacked. They hadn't made that demand. They understood their job is not in any case to choose the coach. And they haven't resigned from the national team, but they clarified that while they are committed to the national team, they have asked not to be called up because of situations that affect our emotional personal state, our performance, and consequently the results of the national team. So essentially they are staging a boycott, but they said they haven't made, that direct demand to have Vilde sacked, although I think it is kind of implied in their unhappiness with the current setup. So, yeah, I think this has definitely caused a bit of a storm. I think especially because the Spanish team has got some of the best players in the world in there, a lot of the Barcelona squad and other players as well. And I know Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan are among the US players to comment on the situation and offer their support to the Spanish team. So, yeah, it's kind of extended beyond Spain. And Europe, and obviously touched a nerve with the US players as well, who have obviously been fighting their own battle with the national federation in recent years. So, yeah, I really don't know how this is going to turn out because the Spanish Football Federation seem hell-bent on the fact that they are correct and they're going to keep Vilde in position. They said that they're just going to play their youth players. And it's just, the situation is crazy to me, really. Like, I feel, these players, the best in the world with a World Cup coming up next year, they would not do this lightly. There's obviously something very wrong happening. So the fact that then the Spanish Football Federation is still not taking them seriously and refusing to really kind of acknowledge their concerns is mad. So, yeah, I hope for the players' sake that this gets resolved, because some of the most talented players in the world right now are part of this boycott, and you just want to see them be able to play on the biggest stages like the World Cup.
Oh, for sure. And this next month, they've got some games coming up against some friendlies against Sweden and the US, and they're not going to be called up for those.
Yeah.
As you say, it's one of the strongest national squads in the world, the Spanish team.
Yeah, and I have seen actually there's been some US, not players, but I think journalists and fans suggest that maybe the US should boycott that match themselves, kind of refuse to engage in the Spanish Football Federation's kind of, decision to ignore their players and just play youth players. But again, that's probably not the players, the US players' decision. That's going to be US Soccer that makes that call. And again, they're probably going to side with a governing body instead of the players. Yeah,
I guess they can't. They can't step in the way of national politics, can they, and national governing bodies of the sport. So, yeah, we'll keep you posted on that. But it is a mess for sure. Meanwhile, over in England, you would be one happy fan this weekend with your team Arsenal's 4-0 win. That was pretty convincing.
Yeah, it was really convincing. So Arsenal beat Spurs 4-0. And yeah, I think Spurs
beat Tottenham, of course, way down the charts.
Tottenham Hotspur, yeah. And I think last season Spurs had kind of punched above their weight a bit, and there was the away match in particular came really close to beating Arsenal. So I think there was a bit of kind of, a question of the dominance in North London, who was the best team. But I think with that 4-0 victory, Arsenal fully confirmed it was Arsenal for the, kind of put Tottenham back down to where they had been a couple of seasons beforehand. It was also a really significant match because it was a record crowd for a WSL game. 47,367 fans attending, which was amazing.
Fantastic.
And yeah, I was there, and the atmosphere was really, really great. It was not sold out, so the capacity at the Emirates is 60,000, but it was, it looked full. It still looked full.
Did you get, I've been meaning to ask you, did you get Leah Williamson's jersey? Somebody.
Yeah, I didn't. I was in the upper tier, so I wasn't down by the pitch. So, unfortunately, that wasn't me. I don't know who it was, but yeah, I'm sure they're going to treasure that shirt for the rest of their life, probably. But it was a brilliant occasion, and it was hopefully see similar attendances at matches at the Emirates in for the rest of the season as well.
Yeah, so they're top of the charts right now, ahead of Man United and Aston Villa, who are all unbeaten so far, but this is early days. There's only 2 games been played. Let's not forget to mention the prolific goal scorer that is one Beth Mead, and her partner, her girlfriend, Vivianne Miedema, both scored. I'd imagine there was probably some adult beverage in their household that night, celebrating all the goal scoring between them.
Yeah, 3 goals between them. I think Beth Mead got an assist as well. So, definitely a power couple.
They certainly are. But Leah Williamson, as most people know, is captain of the Lionesses, but she's not captain of Arsenal, is she? That goes to Kim Little, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So I think Leah's a vice captain, but Kim's just been with Arsenal for so long. Yeah, she's been captain for so long as well. So I think Leah Williamson's definitely a future successor for sure. But at the moment, Kim Little's got, I think, is the one for the role.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Further down the order, after Liverpool had a fantastic start to the season by beating Chelsea, they got thrashed in a local derby by Everton, didn't they, this weekend?
Yeah, so again, it was another really good attendance at that game. I think about 27,000 there. And majority Liverpool fans, seeing as it was Anfield. But unfortunately, the home side couldn't win. And Everton won 3-0, which was... I was quite surprised about that result because Liverpool, although a newly promoted team, had beat Chelsea last weekend, the weekend before. And Everton have kind of struggled a little bit in recent years. I think that was... Well, not recent years. Last season, they struggled. I think that was their first victory in the WSL since March, which shows how much they did struggle last season. I was quite surprised by how one-sided it was, but I guess Liverpool is still just finding their feet in the Women's Super League at the moment.
Any other observations from these games this weekend, Nancy?
I think Chelsea and Man City was another interesting match. Mainly because both had lost on the opening game of the season, which is really surprising. So both went into that match with no points, and Chelsea came out 2-0 winners. So I think City is not a very good start to the season for them at all, and they lost a lot of players over summer, brought a lot of new players in, but obviously they're still kind of, finding their feet and gelling as a team. So I think with the WSL, you've got your top 3 going to Champions League, and it's for the past 4-5 seasons, the top 3 has been Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, not necessarily in that order, but those 3. But with City really struggling at the start of the season, I think, the teams like Man U, Spurs, Aston Villa doing quite well this season. I think they could be hoping to kind of go for that Champions League place. So, it's been an interesting start to the season so far.
All right. And who are Arsenal playing next week?
Well, it's the international break now. So because of the game we've got against the US and then the Czech Republic as well. So it's Continental Cup, which is like the League Cup here, but Arsenal aren't in it because they're in the Champions League. And then it's international break after that. And then I think we've got Sorry, my knowledge of mid-October is not that good. We've got Reading next, away from home. So that's on the 16th of October, so quite far away.
Oh, quite far away, yeah. And tomorrow, Sarah Wiegman actually names her squad for those 2 friendlies against the US and Czechoslovakia, doesn't she? That's tomorrow, Wednesday afternoon.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you expect any surprises there? Because she's very consistent about who she starts with, isn't she?
Yeah, I don't really see any surprises at all, especially because it hasn't been long since the last international break. It was literally at the start of September. So I think we'll see the same, the young, Chloe Kelly will return. She was out with injury, and Frank Kirby as well. So those 2 will go back in. I think we'll just see a couple of the younger players like Laura. I think Lauren Jones will stay in the squad. I can't see any big bigger shock decisions there. I think she's pretty set on her squad at the moment, bar, one or two people on the outskirts.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing who we name for that friendly on October 7th at Wembley. Sold out crowd already. That's going to be one match to watch. That's the 7th of October, England playing the US. Well, jumping back over here to the US, the NWSL League, as I mentioned, is wrapping up. Nancy, have you looked at the league table standings right now with Portland Thorns on top?
Yeah, it is so tight, isn't it? It looks like such an exciting end to the season.
It really is. OL Reign have always been very consistent. I have to say, because Megan Rapinoe plays on that team, and never surprises me with it. Every time she plays, her assists, her passes are really, really spot on. She's very accurate about passing, and identifying. I mean, they're set pieces, I know, but she does play with such accuracy, and so many goals come off her assists, don't they?
Yeah, I think she's definitely proving some people wrong, I think, because I think some people had thought she might be slightly past it or kind of thinking about retirement, and she's just showing that she is probably nowhere near that stage yet.
Right, absolutely nowhere near. So Portland Thorns, it's all happening on the West Coast. Portland Thorns and OL Reign, they're going to be in the semi-finals of the playoff now. They're standing first and second in the league standings, followed by Kansas City Current, which is, well, it shouldn't be surprising. They've had a good season. But what is a nice surprise, and apparently this is the first time for an expansion league, Nancy, that San Diego Wave, they've reached the final series playoffs. It's pretty impressive, isn't it, for a new squad?
Yeah, I know. I think that's history, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's the first time an expansion team. Yeah, and you know what? Casey Stoney, the manager, who's old England player and was Man U manager over here, she is brilliant. So incredible achievement, but I think with her managerial prowess, I'm not too surprised that she's managed to do that. And yeah, obviously doing big things over there.
Yeah, so San Diego Wave, Houston Dash, and Kansas City and North Carolina Courage, they go through to the final series playoffs and the semifinals. Portland Thorns and OL Reigns. We'll keep you posted as that unfolds ahead of our international break here too. Well, Nancy, that just about wraps it up, and I think you're going to be in time for dinner, aren't you? So we're not going to upset your mum.
Yeah, I should be finished right on time, which is perfect. So managed to cram in all those stories in 45 minutes. Yeah,
not bad, is it? It seems like we've done this before, and we know what we're doing, but we win every week. Before you go, let me know how and everybody else know, because you're now officially in a marathon runner, having run the London Marathon last year. What's your running looking like now as the full season is upon us? So the nights are drawing in. Are you training every day?
Yeah, well, not every day, but I'm definitely back into a running routine, which is good. I think it is easier, as much as it's nice having longer days. It is easier running in autumn and winter just because it's cooler and less humidity in the air. I was talking to one of my friends, actually, who I saw at the weekend. She is living in Malaga at the moment, and she is wanting to do the Seville half marathon in January. So I'm very tempted by that, just because I've been looking for a kind of midwinter half marathon to do, and it would be fun to go to another country and do it. And she did it last year. Apparently it's very flat, and she got a personal best on it. So
wow,
I'm quite tempted by that. So I'll keep everyone updated with whether I sign up for that or not.
Yes, you have to keep us updated. That would be fun to go to another country.
Yeah, really fun.
I agree. Well, in the meanwhile, I don't know if I mentioned this, but Marcy Cornigan and I, my adventure partner, we've identified our next bike ride, and that's going to be the Empire State Trail, which runs from Buffalo up on the Canadian border down to New York City, 750 miles. So like you, it's great to have a goal, something to look forward to here. It motivates you for training and putting up with those cold winter days of training, but really is something to look forward to. I'm super excited about that. So yeah, that we will probably do because of the, being north, and we want to wait till the snow is gone. So it'll probably be the end of April, May time. got to confirm that with Marcy. Marcy right now is enjoying her post-Pacific Crest Trail hike, Nancy, by going around some of the big parks like Yellowstone and Glacier Park and having fun as she drives back east.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm surprised she doesn't want to just go home and sleep for like a month. But yeah, congrats to her for finishing it, because that's an incredible achievement.
Awesome achievement. All right, well, we'll have more of that on the Amazon show too when I catch up with her, so she can tell us how those final miles went. But Nancy, remind everybody how they can find you on social media and online.
Yep, so I'm on Twitter at Nancy_Gillen. On Instagram at NancyGillen_sports, and then I write for Gimme Sport Women, and we're on Twitter at Gimme Sport W.
Okay, perfect. And as always, of course, we're at wisports.com and on social media at Wisp Sports. I'm Chris Stafford, as always, alongside Nancy Gillen, bringing you a regular roundup every week of the world of women's sports. So, Nancy, thank you, as always, for your roundup, and we look forward to catching up with you next week ahead of the game that we're all looking forward to, England and USA at Wembley Stadium. Super excited about that, Nancy, but we'll have a lot to talk about, I'm sure, as that gets closer. But for now, thank you for joining me as always, Nancy.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to next week's episode where we get to talk about England, US. So, yeah.
Definitely. All right. Well, for me, that's it for now. And we look forward to catching up with you next week at the same time at WISP Sports, wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for listening.